G'day guys and welcome back to the English Aussie. Today we're going to go through our game week 10 player analysis and transfer plans for the upcoming game week. We might even flick through a wildcard draft at the end, or potentially we'll save that for tomorrow. Starting off this week, we're going to go through the best defenders, midfielders and forwards to go for game week 10 and have a chat through the teams as we go. So this week, we've highlighted again, as usual, the players that I'm keen on in green, orange for some talking points, and red are the players that I would look to avoid. At the moment, I think the players you can see here for talking points at the beginning are Ryan Nouri, who scored again this week for Wolves. He's got 3 goals and 2 assists so far in 9 games, an unbelievable return, the best for all the defenders so far. And he has great stats, just really fantastic attacking threats. He's got a 0.13 non-penalty expected goals and 0.25 non-penalty expected assists, putting him in the top 5 for defenders. With Wolves' great fixtures over the next few game weeks, I think he is really got to be, if you are making defender transfers, at the top of your list to be bringing in over that period of time. Previously, I mentioned I would consider waiting for Wolves just because of their inability to keep any clean sheets. But I think the goal scored this weekend from Nouri has sort of elevated his thoughts in many people's eyes, and that might see his cost increase over the upcoming weeks. So I would try and look to get him in over the next 2 weeks before he plays Southampton in game week 11 or against Palace this week. Savio still in green, also another good option if you don't want to go for the slightly more expensive Nouri. Savio at 4.5 is also a good option with Wolves' fixture runs. He also has excellent stats in the top 20 defenders. Lewis Hall is the other person I want to talk about on this list. Now, we don't talk much about Newcastle, given they've been a bit up and down over the last, over this whole season, to be honest. From game week 12, their fixtures do start to get slightly better. Even 11, they have Nottingham Forest, West Ham, and Palace in 13. After that, they've got Liverpool, Brentford, Leicester, and then Ipswich. So they do have some good fixtures coming up. Lewis Hall has started to make his way back into the starting lineup for Newcastle. And he's putting in some good stats over the last few weeks. And at 4.3 million, I think he could be an interesting differential for those of you that are looking for somebody else to go for in their defence. Slightly cheaper than Nouri, and also for a team that not a lot of people are going to have defenders for. I would say he's someone to look at. I obviously wouldn't bring him in this game week with Arsenal coming up, but potentially look to bring him in for game week 11. Another thing to note on Nouri is he is going to be playing in AFCON. So you do need to be wary that he will be away from game week. I think it's 17 for AFCON. Yeah, game week 17 he'll be away. 17 to 22 they'll be away for AFCON. So he will be missing. He is also on 4 yellow cards. So if he does pick up another one in the upcoming game weeks, he will be suspended for a game. So he does have a short window of 7 game weeks that he is currently available for, which could reduce to 6 if he does pick up a yellow card, which I think is likely to happen over the next 6 game weeks. Outside of those guys, a couple of other talking points that I'd like to go through. Also, Leif Davis at Ipswich. He did manage to pick up an assist this week for Ipswich for 3 points. Played over 60 minutes for additional 2 minutes points. However, Ipswich just conceded so many goals that he ended up still on 2 points. I think he did pick up a yellow card as well. So for me, going into that Ipswich backline, even if they are cheap, even if Leif Davis does have great assist potential, and he does have a bit of magic in those crosses. I think for me, it's an avoid going into any of that Ipswich defence just because of the poor defensive ability they have as a team together. The other person on my list who is in green is Diego Dalot. Now, I'm very big on Diego Dalot. I think he's obviously an excellent footballer. I know he missed an absolute open goal really this week for United, which was horrible. Uh, um, but United have now today sacked Ten Hag, and they are looking into some replacement managers going forwards. And I think there is a potential for United to get that new manager bump when the new managers do come in. And they are in talks with Amorim to succeed Ten Hag as manager, and he is somebody who does like to play a wing back formation that he has done in Portugal with Sporting. So that could open up Diego Dalot to getting into more advanced positions, and therefore being more creative and having more attacking threat. I think United have been reasonably good defensively, and hopefully when the new manager comes in, that will continue. So he is someone to look at over the coming weeks. If United do get a manager in quickly, you can see game weeks 11, 12, 13 are Leicester, Ipswich and Everton, and they could be some really interesting game weeks to target United assets going forwards. The other players on the list that we've got highlighted, Pedro Porro, we've spoken about before. Good attacking potential for Tottenham. I know their clean sheets have been something that have just not been happening for Tottenham, unfortunately. And although I think their defence has improved this year, it seems to be the same old case for Tottenham that they aren't able to keep clean sheets repeatedly. Gvardiol for Man City, I think, is still a fantastic option and is probably one of my top picks. If you don't have him in your team, however, I think a lot of people do now have Gvardiol in the team just for his attacking positioning, as well as Manchester City being a brilliant defence. Other options on here highlighted in orange are Luca Dean and Gabriel. Gabriel's just highlighted here just to consider. He did come off with a knee injury for Arsenal this week. We're not going to find out from Arteta whether he is fit or not for the next game week. For me, if you do have him and you do have the cover at the back, I would try to hold Gabriel. Arsenal's fixtures do pick up from 12, and they will have a good defensive run from 12 through to some of the latter game weeks. So if you can hang on to him, it's only a couple of weeks, and then it will be international break. If you can rotate your defence over those 2 weeks, I'd hang on to Gabriel and save yourself having to make a defender transfer there. Luca Dean, I thought was an interesting option. Aston Villa have not particularly kept a lot of clean sheets, and they don't have the best couple of fixtures coming up. However, Luca Dean has been playing in quite an advanced position for Villa and has been a big threat going forwards, whipping those crosses into the box. He is also on some set pieces as well, which really just boosts his assist threat. So he's an interesting option if you're looking for somebody as a bit of a differential in the back four. You don't want to go for an Nouri or a Semedo. You're not keen on the Manchester United defence. Luca Dean's a potential another route into that sort of 4.5 million defender. Moving on into the midfield, the structure that I think I have been talking about for the last 2-3 weeks before anyone even discussed this, having looked at the potential captains over the next few game weeks, is a 3 premium midfield. I'm still remaining adamant that I think this is the best option. It's just unfortunate that a lot of other people have now picked up on it, given the good game week that we had in 9 for all of Salah, Palmer, and Saka. Without that, I think people would have been a bit less keen and might not have seen the upside to having that 3 premium midfield. I think if you can move your structure towards that, that would be the way to go. I would not also have Haaland in there. I think it does make the rest of your team a little bit too weak. And if those big hitters don't do well in any given game week, you generally stretch quite thin and you're likely to have quite a poor week. if you're going without one of the, like, you can afford to go without one of those 4 big hitters, and I think the easiest way to fit Threemium into your team is to get rid of Haaland. We're obviously got to be on watch over the next 2 weeks. If you're not on a wild card and you're not wildcarding this week, you just got to watch Man City closely, and I'll be giving updates as we go on how I think they're playing tactically and whether they're improving, whether De Bruyne comes back, Foden looks to get more into those gaps in between the defence and the midfield, pick up the ball, and if Savio and maybe even Nunez down the left-hand side can provide better service for Haaland like they did in the last game. My 3 main midfielders are still going to be Salah, Palmer, and Saka going forwards. I think you've got to try and get them into your team over the next few game weeks. I would say my number 1 pick at the moment is Salah, just because of his potential for captaincy in game week 10 against Brighton and game week 12 against Southampton. He's who I would prioritise getting into the team over the next 2 weeks. My next priority would be Bukayo Saka over Cole Palmer. The reason being is I think that everything goes through Saka for Arsenal more than everything goes through Palmer for Chelsea. Saka is really a crucial player for them on set pieces, on penalties as well. And Arsenal just have a slightly better fixture run, in my opinion, over the next couple of game weeks. However, I would also be very keen to get Palmer in for game week 12. So depending on what your transfer plans are and which game weeks you're looking to head for these guys in, I would say Salah would be your first priority, and Palmer you want to have in game week 12 for that potential captaincy if you don't have Salah already. He's who I'd look to captain in 12. So that would be my order: Salah, Saka, Palmer, and Palmer for that run of fixtures for Chelsea, really from 14, where they have Southampton. You want to have your Palmer as your captain that week. And yes, then you also can have Saka 14 onwards if you can bring him in a little bit earlier. I think he's the guy that's going to tick along those points a little bit nicer. And then hopefully Palmer will explode after that once you can get him into your team. Those are obviously the main 3 big hitters that we like to talk about. Some of the other players in this midfielder analysis that I want to talk about is Savio of Manchester City. Now, Savio played a really great game week for Man City last week and has slowly started to creep into our thinking going forwards, or at least into my thinking going forwards. At 6.5 million as a winger for Man City, if Man City can start scoring a few more goals, I think he might. He has the potential to be heavily involved and get some have a great upside at that price point to hit into the City attack. If you are swapping out of Haaland, potentially down the line, this is someone to look at bringing into your team. For me, I'm looking at Man City's fixtures probably from around game week 14 after the Liverpool game. They have a really nice run of attacking fixtures all the way through to game week 22, really. Is a really nice run of fixtures for Man City. If you can look to bring Savio in anywhere around 14, 15, all the way up to 18, I think that's a real target time to bring him into your team. If it is a case that potentially you want to bring him in around that 17 mark where Salah goes off to AFCON, sub into Savio, and then perhaps upgrade your striker to Haaland again. That could be another route if you want to double up on Man City in the attacking sense. Another guy that we haven't really talked about is Harvey Barnes at Newcastle, and that's really because he just hasn't bedded down those 90 minutes. And if you look at these stats, these are non-penalty expected goals and non-penalty expected goals and assists per 90. So as you can see, Harvey Barnes only started 5 games for Newcastle so far this year and played 478 minutes. However, in the times he has been on the pitch, he has been racking up good expected goals and assists and good statistics. You can see he's someone similar to like what I would say is a Garnacho, who is able to create chances from open play, which I think is really important in those sort of budget midfielders. That you've got people who can just be a bit dynamic, have some form of that forward drive and dynamism, and create chances themselves in open play. I think Harvey Barnes is someone that can do that, and I do think he's someone to look out for game week 12 going forwards. Newcastle have quite a nice fixture run after game week 12 for a few weeks. Outside of that, other good options, Garnacho of United. I think United, again, as we've spoken about, have a good few fixtures, 11 to 13, Leicester, Ipswich and Everton. If you are looking to target people over that short term, I think Garnacho could be somebody you can bring in. If you're looking a little bit longer term, or in these interim game weeks, you're looking for a Salah, Saka, Palmer, and you're not trying to downgrade any of your other midfielders, I think Garnacho is probably not the one to go for. It'd be worth waiting to see what happens when the United new manager comes in, and the United game week, the United fixtures pick up around 17, around that AFCON sort of time. They have a couple of good game weeks against Bournemouth and Wolves. Before 21 to 27, they have another good run of fixtures. So perhaps, depending on your teams, Garnacho could be someone if you're looking to attack over the next few weeks. If not, I would wait and hold until AFCON or just after, or just towards the back end of AFCON when the United fixture swing picks up. Adama Traore in here on red. He is in my team. However, I would avoid Adama at the moment, despite the Fulham good fixture runs, and despite his statistics. If you watch Fulham play and you just watch Adama's finishing and sort of energy to get himself into those end positions more frequently, other than on the counter attack, where he's the one driving the ball up the field for Fulham. I think he's been really poor at making an effort and getting on the back post and the end of balls. His finishing has always been poor, and nothing's changed this year. So for me, he's probably someone to avoid. I think he will definitely underperform his XA and XG, and those stats are really a bit misleading when it comes to Adama. I do think he's a good player for Fulham and like good for their team, but not for FPL prospects. Buonanotte of Leicester also, I think, a good budget option if you are on a wild card. He could be someone you could go for instead of a Morgan Rogers, who everyone seems to have at the moment. Leicester fixtures reasonable over the next 6 to 8 game weeks. So he could be someone that you look to get in. He has looked good for Leicester, especially on the ball. He's really, again, had that little bit of dynamism about him. Carries the ball really nicely, good skills, and can pass the ball really well. So only thing is I'd keep him away from the ball in his own half, because he tries to do a few too many dribbles near his own box and has cost Leicester goals in the past. Next up are the forward line and a couple of cheap forwards. I think at the moment we've got a lot of cheap forwards, and it's looking like, as I mentioned before, people are now seeing coming out of Haaland, going to that 3 premium midfield and using those cheap forwards as the way to go. I have been talking about this for the last few weeks, so people are jumping on the gravy train a little bit late. However, fortunately, I've structured my team to be able to make these changes slowly over the next few game weeks. I think 2 of these players, Jimenez and Wissa, are both fantastic. They're obviously, I know Wissa's only come back for a week, but you would say of his last few fixtures, he's been in form. They've got good fixtures, and they're the spearheads of the attack, playing up front. Neither of them are on penalties, although there is potential for Jimenez to be on the penalty, considering Pereira missed the last one. I don't think he will be. I think Pereira will continue to take penalties for Fulham. I don't think just because he missed one, he's going to get taken off them. But I do think, again, if you're looking to attack over the next few game weeks, both of these guys are really good shouts. One thing to note is if you're moving into them maybe in a game week 12 or 13, Wissa will also be away at AFCON on game week 17. So if you're going to move for Wissa, you should move earlier rather than later. And to be honest, the same is for Jimenez, because once you get to 15 and 16, Jimenez has Liverpool and Arsenal over that, and then Man City in Chelsea in 18. So that fixture swing does fall off a little bit for Fulham. However, he is in great form. He would be someone I'm definitely looking at to bring in my team over the next few weeks. Outside of these two main guys, there's a few other people to talk through. Obviously, one of the main talking points this week is whether to remove Haaland, whether to remove him now, whether to remove him in 12 and 13, or whether to keep him while everybody else is selling him. For my specific team, I'm looking to get rid of Haaland in game week 12 or game week 13, depending on how Man City run in the next couple of weeks. And depending on how badly I'm looking to get in Cole Palmer to my team. And Bukayo Saka, to be honest. So I think it will be a sort of wait and see for me over the next couple of game weeks. One, on how Man City look against Bournemouth. And definitely against Brighton if they do look good against Bournemouth. And two, on how Saka and Palmer are looking over the next couple of weeks. I am going to be hating watching the Arsenal and Chelsea games over the next couple of game weeks, because I do feel like they're both integral parts of those teams, and they will return for sure over the next couple of game weeks. It's just a question of how big will the returns be, and can Salah and Haaland outdo them, which I'm hoping for, but we will see how it goes. If I was on a wild card this week, I would remove Haaland. Just because I think the optimal way to play at the moment is to have that 3 premium midfielders and have the cheaper forwards who are performing really well. I think that's the way to maximise your points. If that's the way you're going to play it and you're going to play a wild card in 10, I would remove Haaland. Otherwise, I would hold to 12, 13. The other option, again, like I said, is to keep him through this run. I think the question you have to ask yourself is, who are your captains going to be over that game week where you are keeping Haaland? Are you going to be captaining him against Tottenham, Liverpool, Forest, United, Villa, all of these sort of games that City have until game week 18 where their fixtures pick up again? I think that's really the real key considerations with your premiums. Who are you going to captain? My viewpoint is you should be switching between the premiums frequently, and that's what these additional transfers, and that's what I've been saying over those last few weeks. The fact that we're able to save up to 5 transfers means you can afford to switch between these premiums and shift around your team if you're able to save transfers in between them. And my sort of planning is to sort of have your defence as almost set and forget people who you're comfortable to hold through most game weeks, and try to have people who are not rotation risks in the rest of your side, so that you're able to flick through these premiums comfortably and target those good fixtures and be able to captain the premiums that you want to captain in those good fixtures. And that is the way to optimize your FPL team and structure going forwards. Okay, a couple of the other players that I do want to talk about is on the right. I've got Cunha. I'm not as big on Cunha as everybody else seems to be that talks about FPL. I think Wolves have a good fixture swing. I just don't think they're a very good team. I think Cunha's a good player. I think he might get a couple of returns. He isn't somebody I would go for at 6.5 million, regardless of the fixtures. Fulham, Bournemouth, Everton, West Ham after Southampton. Is he going to score in all those games? I'm not sure. And then 16, 17, Ipswich and Leicester, obviously fantastic fixtures. And if you do have him in for that, you're probably licking your lips at those fixtures. But again, Wolves have not looked a fantastic team. I mean, they're right at the bottom of the Premier League table, and really sort of struggling for points and wins. And Cunha's goal last week was pretty lucky, in my opinion. So he's probably not someone I'd go for. I did want to talk about him just because there's a lot of talk around Wolves at the moment and their great fixture runs. But I just think if there was someone, if you're going for someone right now, it's not going to be Cunha for me. If you're going for someone maybe next week or a game week 12 or a game week 13, you're looking to make those Haaland transfers out, then that's a wait and see. Maybe he's a guy to go for later down the line. We'll see how Wolves evolve as they play some of these easier teams and what tactics they employ and what sort of style of football they start to play against some of these easier teams. And I'll update you as it goes along. But for now, he's not a buy for me. Definitely not this week. On the other hand, Chris Wood is a massive buy. He is the focal point of Forest's attack. He's the one to go for me if you're looking at a striker. Danny Welbeck, if he is fit from game week 12, Brighton have a fantastic fixture run. They've got Bournemouth, Southampton, Fulham, Leicester, Palace, West Ham, Brentford, all good attacking fixtures. Probably Fulham being the most difficult of all of those. And Brighton have got, like I've been talking about, really well coached, really good attacking patterns. Welbeck's been scoring goals. João Pedro also, if comes back, is someone to look for over that period of time. And that lines up really well with when you're looking to bring in a Haaland, take out Haaland and probably bring back in a Haaland. That Brighton run of fixtures line up absolutely perfectly from 12 to 18, and then Man City then pick up their fixtures again from 18. So if you are looking for someone in that brief intermittent period, I think Chris Wood is pretty much perfect. Sorry, not Chris Wood. Danny Welbeck is absolutely perfect for that switch over. My personal picks and who I'd go for over the next for this game week is what I'm going at, but I would say maybe this and the next game week. My picks are Mo Salah. I think he's the most important person to have in. I think he's the best captain for game week 10. I would have him over Haaland. Salah against Brighton versus Haaland v Bournemouth. I think he's my captaincy pick. I think Brighton are gonna attack. I think they're gonna leave gaps in behind, and if they do play a high line like they have done in previous games, that's where Salah's gonna mop up. Nouri, I think if you're looking for a defender, he's the number one guy. Wolves have great fixtures. He's very attacking. He might even end up in a left midfield role if they go to 3 at the back. So I think he's, for me, incredible fixture run. Only things to consider, obviously, are 4 yellow cards, AFCON 17. He will be away for 6 game weeks. So if you're going to go for Nouri, you should go for Nouri right now. Make the most of the next 7 game weeks where he's around, and potentially 6 if he does get that suspension. Chris Wood, as I was just talking about, is the main man for Forest. He is not Erling Haaland, but he is the goal scoring machine at the moment. He is scoring in almost every other game, and at 6.4 million, he's just such a good price, point. He's on penalties. He is the focal point of that Nottingham Forest attack. Everything comes in towards Wood, and he's great for bonus points. He gets shots on goal. He holds up the ball well. Completes passes, wins duels. Just a really fantastic all-round pick, in my opinion, Chris Wood. And if he scores, he generally gets bonus points. So for me, he's a must-buy, should buy if you're looking for that cheap forward price this week or next week. And my other one is, surprisingly, although I substituted him out of my team last week, is Bukayo Saka. If he's fit, he's just so crucial to Arsenal, and he's probably my second favourite premium to own. And Palmer lovers are gonna crucify me for this, but I just think over the next 3 weeks, and if you're also planning to bring Palmer in further down the line, I'd look to get Saka in first, just because I think he ticks along quite nicely in all these games, and Palmer's a little bit more explosive, and you want to have Palmer in, yes, for those easier fixture games. And when both teams have more difficult fixtures, I think I'd rather have Saka, just because I think he's better at ticking along the points over those games. That's sort of my thought process to having him in there. Obviously, he's crucial to the Arsenal build-up play, the same way Palmer's crucial to Chelsea. But everything does really revolve and go through Saka in that Arsenal team. So I think he's just such an important person to have in that team. I will. I think that those are probably my main thoughts throughout these guys here. I don't think there's anybody that I have missed that I wanted to talk about today. I probably will do a wildcard draft in my next video. Should we get it up? Should we get one up now for you guys? No, I think we'll do a separate wildcard video where we can talk stuff through in much more detail. But please, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the channel. New channel will really help out if you guys can subscribe if you do like this content. Next week, I'm planning to combine my tactical team observations with the statistical player analysis from this video. We're going to do like a tactical plus statistics video. That's what a couple of you guys have been asking for that to be combined. I am looking to do that. I think I like to give a sort of 50% tactical lens, 50% statistical lens. Maybe we'll make a form, fixtures, tactics, and stats video where it links everything together, and we'll call out the main picks based off all 4 of those items next week. But for now, guys, thanks again. Please like and subscribe to the video. It really help out this channel growing. Have a great week. Good luck with your transfers, and I'll see you later this week. Hopefully for a couple more videos. Have a great week, guys. See ya.